The sun was almost gone when Samuel Drake realized he was lost. He had been riding across the wide Arizona desert since morning, searching for a few stray cattle that had escaped the night before. The land stretched endlessly around him, dry hills, cracked earth, and long shadows that reached toward him like tired fingers. Samuel was a rancher, a quiet man who lived alone. His wife had passed away years ago, and the ranch had become his world, a world of silence, dust, and memories. He liked it that way. Out here there were no city noises, no crowds, no worries, just wind, sand, and stars. But now even he could feel the unease in the air. His horse snorted, tired and nervous. The sun sank behind the red cliffs, leaving the land painted in dark gold and gray. Samuel checked his wrist compass, but the needle spun aimlessly. His GPS screen flickered with static, the same as his radio. "Darn storm messed it all up," he muttered softly. He looked around. The desert seemed empty, but the horizon shimmered with a faint silver glow, lightning without thunder. A sandstorm was moving again, rolling like a sleeping beast across the plains. He had no shelter, no way to call home. Samuel decided to keep moving. Maybe he would find a road or an old camp before the night swallowed him whole. He rode for nearly an hour. The stars began to appear, sharp and cold. The wind picked up, carrying sand like needles against his face. His horse stumbled, exhausted. That's when he saw it, a flicker of firelight in the distance. It wasn't the wild orange of a wildfire or lightning. It was soft, steady, warm. Someone had made a camp. Samuel's heart lifted with relief. He guided his horse toward the light, the air growing colder with every step. As he came closer, he saw 3 figures sitting around a small fire. They were young women dressed in simple desert clothes, woven shawls, long skirts, and boots covered in dust. Their dark hair glowed faintly in the firelight, and their eyes reflected the flames like quiet stars. They looked up as he approached, calm and unafraid. "Evening," Samuel called, stopping a few feet away. "Didn't mean to scare you. I got caught out in the storm." One of them smiled. "The desert is not a place for the uninvited at night," she said softly. "But you may sit by the fire. Sleep here if you wish." Samuel hesitated. The girls looked too young to be alone out here, and he saw no tents, no horses, no supplies. Just the fire, glowing strangely blue around the edges. "I appreciate it," he said, finally stepping closer. "Name's Samuel Drake. I run a ranch south of the hills." The girls nodded politely. The one who had spoken introduced herself as Tala, and the other 2 as Nita and Ayana. Their voices were gentle, like old songs carried by wind. Samuel tied his horse nearby and sat on a flat rock by the fire. The warmth felt good against his cold hands. "Strange night," he said, trying to make small talk. "Haven't seen a storm move that fast in years." "The desert remembers," Tala said quietly, stirring the fire with a stick. "It keeps secrets buried under the sand. Sometimes it reminds us they are still there." Samuel frowned. "You mean the old ruins?" Nita smiled faintly. "Older than that." As the fire crackled, the girls began to tell stories. Not the kind told to tourists or written in books, but stories that felt ancient. They spoke of metal birds that fell from the stars long before anyone had built airplanes. They spoke of the Sky Fathers, beings who came down when the earth was still young, teaching people how to read the stars and listen to the land. Samuel listened, half fascinated, half doubtful. "Sounds like old legends," he said. "Perhaps," Ayana said. "But all legends start from truth." Then Tala showed him something. From under her shawl she brought out a bracelet, a band of silver metal mixed with transparent stone. It shimmered faintly, even in the dim firelight. When she held it up to the sky, the stars above seemed to brighten. Samuel leaned forward. "That's beautiful. Where'd you find it?" "It was not found," Tala said. "It was given, passed down from the first guardians, those who hid what fell from the sky." Samuel smiled politely, but he could feel something strange. The bracelet gave off a faint hum, not a sound exactly, more like a vibration in the air. The fire shifted colors for a moment, from orange to pale blue. The wind died down completely. Tala looked at him with calm eyes. "You are near the heart of the desert's memory, Samuel Drake. The sand called you here." Samuel chuckled nervously. "Called me? I think I just got lost," Nita shook her head. No one gets lost here unless the desert allows it. The night grew colder. The stars turned brighter, filling the sky with silver light. Samuel felt tired, his eyelids heavy. The girls' voices became softer, blending with the whisper of the wind. "You should rest," Tala said gently. "The storm will pass soon. Sleep here." He wanted to ask more questions, but the warmth of the fire and the rhythm of their voices lulled him into calm. "All right," he murmured, "just for a while." He lay down beside the fire, his hat pulled low over his eyes. The last thing he saw before sleep took him was Tala placing the bracelet beside him. He dreamed. He was standing in the same desert, but it was not night. It was blazing with light. Above him the sky was filled with fire, long burning trails cutting across the heavens. Something massive was falling, not a meteor but a ship made of silver and light. It roared like a storm, crashing into the desert and sinking into the earth. The ground shook. He saw figures, not men, not machines, tall shapes of light running into the dunes. Then the three girls appeared again, standing by the wreckage, holding the same glowing bracelet. "Remember," Tala's voice echoed. "The stars gave us strength, and one day they will ask for it back." Samuel reached for them and woke up. The fire was almost out. The desert was silent. Samuel sat up quickly. The girls were gone. Their footprints ended just beyond the campfire and vanished. There were no horses, no signs of travel. Only the bracelet remained beside him, glowing faintly in the gray light of dawn. He picked it up. It was warm to the touch, humming softly as if it were alive. He looked around and froze. The sand near the fire was glowing faintly in a long, curving line leading away into the dunes. It looked like a trail of light rippling like water. Samuel's heart raced. "What in the world?" He stepped closer and touched the sand. It felt solid for a moment and then rippled under his hand like a pond disturbed by wind. A deep sound came from below. A low hum, almost mechanical, almost awake. Samuel stepped back, his boots sinking into the shifting ground. Beneath the sand, something vast moved, something buried deep but stirring. He looked down at the glowing bracelet. Its light grew stronger, pulsing with the same rhythm as the sound beneath the earth. He realized then, the storm hadn't just pushed him off course. It had brought him here. He looked toward the horizon where the glowing trail disappeared into the dunes. His fear slowly turned into curiosity, then determination. Whatever secret the desert was hiding, he was going to find it. The sun had not yet risen when Samuel Drake stood alone in the cool morning air, staring at the glowing trail of sand that stretched before him. The desert was quiet, almost too quiet. His horse shuffled uneasily behind him, snorting at the strange hum that seemed to come from deep below. Samuel still held the bracelet. It shimmered softly, its light growing brighter each time he turned toward the glowing path. It was as if the strange object was guiding him, calling him forward. He didn't know where the girls had gone or what had really happened during the night. But one thing was clear in his heart: this was no dream. Something real, something ancient, was sleeping under the desert, and somehow it had chosen him to find it. Samuel packed what little he had and followed the glowing trail. The light seemed to sink deeper into the dunes as he walked, like a buried river of stars. After an hour, the ground began to change. The sand grew harder, almost metallic, and strange shapes appeared under the dust, smooth edges, curved lines, and patterns that no human hand could have made. The bracelet pulsed faster. When Samuel touched the ground, he felt it vibrate like the slow heartbeat of a giant. He brushed away more sand. Beneath it was metal, cold and shining even in the early light. A large curved surface stretched in every direction, smooth as glass but etched with faint symbols that looked half human, half alien. He stepped back in awe. "Good heavens," he whispered. "It's a ship, buried right under us." A small circle of light appeared on the metal, glowing the same color as the bracelet. Without thinking, Samuel held his wrist closer. The bracelet floated for a second, then clicked into place over the light. There was a deep sound like thunder far away. The ground trembled. The sand around him began to slide away, forming a spiral down into the earth. Samuel grabbed a rock to steady himself as a hidden door opened before him, a tunnel leading into the darkness below. Warm air rushed out, carrying a scent like rain on stone. He hesitated only for a moment, then took a deep breath and stepped inside. The tunnel sloped gently downward. Faint blue lights flickered along the walls, showing a smooth metallic passageway covered with symbols that glowed softly as he passed. The air was surprisingly fresh, not dusty or old. At the end of the tunnel, the passage opened into a vast chamber. It was larger than any barn or hangar he had ever seen. Curved walls, shining floors, and strange structures that floated silently above the ground. In the center stood a tall column of light. It shimmered like liquid glass, and deep within it he saw shapes, mechanical yet graceful, almost alive. Samuel whispered, "So it's true. The stories were real." A soft voice echoed behind him. "You came, Samuel Drake." He spun around. The 3 Apache girls stood near the entrance, their faces calm and kind just as before. But now their eyes glowed faintly, and their feet didn't seem to touch the ground. "You're real," he said, his voice shaking slightly. You're not human, are you?" Tala smiled gently. "We were once human long ago. We are the guardians of the Sky Fathers, keepers of this place." Samuel stared. "This ship, it's alien, isn't it?" "It is older than that," Ayana said softly. "It came from a time when your kind first learned to walk upright and look at the stars. The ones who built it came not to rule but to share. They left gifts, knowledge, memory, and strength. But others followed, hunters from the dark sky. So our ancestors hid this place, protecting it through the centuries." Nita stepped closer. "And now it has awakened because the stars have moved again. The watchers above are returning." Samuel felt a chill. "Returning? You mean aliens?" "They are not friends of humankind," Tala said simply. "They seek what was buried here, the heart of the machine. But the desert chose you, Samuel Drake. You carry the key to awaken its defense." Samuel looked down at the bracelet. It pulsed faster, the light rising and falling like a heartbeat. "I don't understand. I'm just a rancher. Why me?" "Because you listen," Tala said. "You still believe in things you cannot see. The machine knows your spirit." The floor beneath them rumbled softly. The column of light in the center flared brighter. Holograms appeared, glowing figures of tall, luminous beings who seemed to speak in a silent language of light. Around them, images formed. Ancient battles, cities among the stars, ships fleeing across galaxies. The guardians bowed their heads. "This is their memory," Ayana whispered. "The Sky Fathers who gave humans courage." Then Samuel saw something that made his heart stop. The images showed Earth as it once was, blue, young, full of promise. Then shadows fell over it, black ships descending, but in the midst of that darkness a small light rose. The same desert where he stood now. "That's here," Samuel said quietly. Tala nodded. "This place became the shield, but it has slept too long. You must awaken it again." He stepped toward the column of light. The bracelet on his wrist began to glow brighter until the entire chamber shone like morning. He could feel energy flowing through him, not painful, but warm, alive. A voice echoed from the column, not in words but in pure meaning. "Human guardian of the forgotten, you have answered the call." Samuel's mind filled with visions, maps of stars, ships hidden beneath oceans, towers that once connected sky and earth. It was overwhelming yet peaceful. He felt the truth settle in his heart. Humanity was not small or weak. They had always been watched, guided, and given the power to rise again. He whispered, "What do I do?" The light flared once more. "Protect, remember, awaken the others." The chamber shook. Far above, thunder rolled across the desert. Samuel ran to the entrance and looked up the tunnel. Through the opening, he saw strange streaks in the sky, not shooting stars, but bright silver shapes moving fast across the clouds. "They're coming," Nita said softly. Tala turned to him. "Do not fear. The machine knows your heart." "You must send the message." Samuel nodded, though his hands trembled. "How?" "Think of your home. Think of Earth. The ship will hear you." He closed his eyes, focusing on the image of his ranch, the open sky, and every person still living their small lives, unaware of what slept beneath their feet. The ground pulsed. A beam of light shot from the column, racing upward through layers of sand and stone. It burst into the sky like dawn breaking after endless night. From far above, the silver ships paused and then began to retreat, as if the light itself had spoken to them in a language older than fear. The rumbling faded. The chamber grew calm again. Samuel stood breathing hard, the bracelet now dim, its purpose complete. The three girls smiled. "The desert is safe," Ayana said softly. "For now." Tala stepped forward. "You have done what none before you could. The memory of Earth has spoken again through you." Samuel looked around the chamber. "So what happens next?" "You return," Tala said. "Live as you did. But remember, this world is not alone, and humanity's strength is not in its weapons but in its spirit. When the stars call again, another will come." The light around them began to fade. The chamber slowly filled with soft dust, the symbols dimming like embers after a fire. "Wait," Samuel said, stepping forward. "Will I see you again?" Tala smiled, her voice almost a whisper. "We are always here. Every grain of sand remembers." And then they were gone. When Samuel climbed out of the tunnel, the sun was rising over the desert. The storm had passed. His horse waited quietly nearby as if nothing strange had happened. He looked back. The glowing trail had disappeared. Only smooth sand remained. Samuel slipped the bracelet into his pocket. It was quiet now, but warm, alive. He mounted his horse and turned toward home, the light of dawn washing over the land. He didn't know if anyone would believe him. Maybe they'd call it a dream, or the heat playing tricks, but deep down he knew the truth. Something vast and ancient slept beneath the desert, and it had chosen to trust a lonely rancher with its secret. As he rode toward the horizon, the words echoed in his mind, gentle as wind over sand. "Sleep here," they had said. The desert remembers, and Samuel Drake smiled. For the first time in years, he did not feel alone.